Okay, the next thing that we are going to understand and review are the conditional statements and the for loops. Conditional statements are very important when it comes to dealing with the decision making scenarios where we are asked to decide in between two or three or four of different situations, and we have to choose which one is the right one. That means we are going to do the decision making. We are going to let the computer or the code do the decision making for us instead of doing it ourselves. Okay, so the very first thing is the conditional statements. Okay, so it starts with the keyword if. Okay, let's say I'm going to take input from the user and I'm going to uh, check on it that whether the input taken from the user is greater than 1, is greater than 0, is a positive number, negative number, or a 0. So how we can do it? First we have to make a variable, let's say num variable, and we are going to take the input from the user. For that we have the command input, and we are going to take in user input, we are going to ask the user input the number. Okay, so when the user is going to input the number, we are going to see the number and then we are going to check it. And the keyword for using the if else condition is if num is greater than 0, we have to check if it is positive, if it is negative, and if it is 0. So what we are going to do, if the num is greater than 0, we are simply going to display. You can do any other task inside the body of the if, but here we are going to simply display, just for the understanding, that the number is, let's say, greater than 0, or we can say the number is positive. Okay, next we have else if, that is associated with the if. Note one thing here, that if we are going to put a space in between else and if, what it is going to do, it will take if else structure as the main structure, and this if will be considered a nested if in the else. So we are not going to put a space here, we are going to keep it together. Else if the num is less than 0, then we are going to display that the number is negative. And last case, which is the else condition, we are simply going to display that the number is 0. And there is always an associated end with the if as well. So when we are going to run it, what it's going to do, as the checkm file starts to run, it asks the user input. It prompts up and asks the user input that input the number. Let's say I'm going to enter a number -7. So what it is going to tell, the number is -7 and the number is negative. Why is it displaying the num value? Because I have not placed a semicolon here. If I'm going to place a semicolon here, it's not going to display the num value. It's only going to make a decision and give me the final result that the number is negative or positive or whatever. And if I'm going to run it once again, and this time let's say I enter a number 1000. So it is going to simply tell me that the number is positive. Okay, so the next thing is the for loops. So why we need the loops, for loops or while loops or whichever loops? So the very quick way to answer this thing is that we need loops for the redundant tasks, for the repetitive tasks. So how the for loops work is, if I write a code for the C++ that you all must be familiar with, for loop, it starts with an index I, that let's say make it a 0, and then what we do, we make a we place a decision making criteria that I is less than 0, I is less than 10, and then we say I plus plus. This is simply the what we say is the C++ way of writing a for loop, that we have an integer I, that is the indexing variable, we place it equal to 0, that is the starting point of the loop, and we check the condition that this I which is 0 right now, that I is less than 10, that 0 is less than 10, the condition is true. So what we are going to do, it's going to enter the loop, and what it is going to do, it is going to simply see out what, see out I. Let's not go too much far from here. So what it's going to do, it's going to see out I. Okay, every time it's going to see out I, it's going to go back, make one plus in the I, again going to check the condition, come down, see out it, and then going up, increment it, check the condition, come down until this condition fails. Okay, so this condition that I is less than 10. Now the similar kind of for loop, if we are going to write it in MATLAB, this is not the format to write the same code in MATLAB. Code simply says to display the numbers from 0 to 9, the first 10 numbers, okay, from 0 to 9. So how the MATLAB takes the for loop, it will simply take an index variable I that will start from 0 and will end at 10. Okay, now how it, because by default the increment is always of 1, so if you want you can place your increment, if you don't want, you cannot place. So you can place an increment of 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you want. You because if you code in C++, instead of making it I plus plus, you can also do it as I equal to I plus 2, I plus 3, I plus 4. So it's totally up to you how you are going to increment your indexing variable. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are simply going to display I, nothing else, and end the loop. This is how the for loops work. What's happening here, it will enter the loop, it will take I, it will start I from 0. After starting it from 0, it will display I. Okay, because it is less than the ending point, here we do not need to define the condition for incrementing, because for loops are basically numbered variables. They are basically the incrementing variables. They do not check for any condition. The condition is simply based on the number. Okay, so basically it's going to run the display command for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on up to 9 or 10. Let's see. When I'm going to run it, it will first ask me, because the above code is already running, so it's going to ask me for that first. It's going to display the result of that first. Okay, and then it's going to enter the loop. So the best way to check when we are going to enter the loop is to put a display. Okay, so if I just comment this section out for right now and display the command entering the loop. Okay, so it's just for the understanding, so that we know when we have entered the loop and when we have exited the loop. Display exiting the for loop. Okay, so here we have exited the for loop, we are entering the for loop. Now we are going to run it once again. Okay, let me place the CLC right at the top, so that every time when it runs, it don't gives us all the output. So it will enter the loop, it will display the command, and then it will display 0, 1, 2, 3, so on up to 10, and then exit the loop. So what does it do? It displays 11 values instead of 10 values. Okay, so if I'm going to place 1 here, our loop will start from 1 and will end at 10. So it will display the first 10 values. Other than that, what we can do is we can change the increment. Let's say I can keep the increment to 3, and I can display the numbers from 1 to 30. Okay, so it will print the table of, sorry, not the table, but it will print the values from 1 to 30 with an increment of 3 each. And it's obviously not going to print 30, because the first value was not the multiple of 3. So if I'm going to place a 0 here, then in that case what it's going to do, let's see, Now it has printed the table of 3 because and it has ended at 30 because 30 was in the range. Okay, so this is how we can work with the for loops. Okay, now let's just comment it out and let's move to the nested for loops, because we are going to deal with the nested for loops now. So we are going to understand the nested for loops here. Okay, for the nested for loop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an array. Okay, instead of doing it here, let's call up the pane and let's make a matrix here. Okay, so I'm going to implement a 2 by 2 matrix simply. 2, 1, 3 and 5. So how I am going to implement this matrix in MATLAB? Let's see. 2, 1, 3 and 5. So 2 by 2 matrix. We'll input the values ourselves, but let's see how I'm going to do. I is equal to 1 to 2 because I need one index and two index only. And then I need another for loop, a nested for the second index, that is j. You can understand because you already have been through the commands. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to put make a, that would be the matrix name, a at I j equal to 2. Let's say we put if for if I equal 1 and j, and this is the and symbol, double and for the logical and. In MATLAB, if I is equal 1 and then j equal 1, what it's going to do is it's going to put a at ij equal to 2. We need 2 at the first index, and then we need 1 at the second index, and then we are going to say else if I equal 1, okay, first row and second column, and j equal 2, at in that case a at I comma j should be equal to 1. And then we have another case of else if I equal 2. Now we are going to move to the second row, and j equal 1 and the first column. Here we are going to give a at I j, what's the value there? We have 3 at the 2 1 location, and else if I equal 2 and j is also equal 2, in that case what we are going to do, we are going to put a at ij equal to 5. I think the last value was 5. Yes. Okay, so and else, in else case we are simply going to display wrong index. Okay, and we are going to end the if. Now as we are going to write the end, it will highlight the structure with which it belongs to. Next end will belong to the in nested for, and the last end will belong to the main for loop. Okay, so we are going to save it, and then when we are going to run it, what it's going to do, it's going to manipulate, it's going to take the values. First it will put 2 on the first location, and then a will become 2 1, and then 2 1. Okay, and the fourth location will be 0 after the third repetition, and after the fourth one the matrix will be 2 1 3 5. So if we are going to see the size of the matrix, what we are going to do, we can simply write size of A, and it will tell us it is a 2 cross 2 matrix. So this is how you can make 2 cross 2 matrices using if else conditions and the nested for loops.